Hello there, you're watching The Pulse on the JoyNews channel. This afternoon, we're taking you to the Upper East region, particularly the Boko municipality, after government has announced that it is sending over 1,000 soldiers to the area to restore calm. We'll get the very latest, plus assess the situation on the ground. We're keeping our eyes on that for you. And this afternoon, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authorities are ordering all ride-hailing apps to halt the collection of the digital transport fee. DVLA says the collection would have to be on hold following the concerns being raised by some stakeholders. We'll get you details on that. And this afternoon, what accounted for the seizure of the school bus belonging to Agri Memorial? We're getting into the details of the story after a businesswoman causes the seizure of a school bus and a Mahindra vehicle belonging to the Agri Memorial School. There's an all issues coming up here on The Pulse. And don't forget that we're also paying attention to that internal contest between members of the NDC. They are heading in for the presidential and parliamentary race.
How many people get people to support them the way they have been supported? You don't get people to continue supporting you after 2 decades of being a member of parliament. For you to get people to continue supporting you for 2 decades, it means there's something you are doing right.
Well, the Asawase constituency is not the only constituency we're watching this afternoon. We're paying attention to all the areas where, of course, a lot of issues have been unfolding. We'll bring you a 360 view, plus hear from some of the aspiring persons in the National Democratic Congress. It's all coming up here on The Pulse. The Pulse, as always, is brought to you by Global Communities, Digni Lu, Affordable Safe Sanitation. We're on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144. I'm Blessed Sogah. Stay with us. We'll bring you the details shortly. And this afternoon, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, is asking all ride-hailing apps to halt the collection of the digital transport levy. It follows a series of concerns being raised by stakeholders. DVLA says that it will engage the Ministry of Transport on the emerging concerns regarding the collection of what was supposed to be some 10%, as some stakeholders are describing it, on all transport services rendered. But after consultations and mixed reactions greeting this very decision, in a press release, DVLA says it will be consulting further on the way forward. George Annan is the PR of the Ghana Online Drivers Union. He's joining us. Thank you, George, for your time. You've been with us all throughout, and we're grateful for your time. So let's start off from the decision itself. Were you consulted when, of course, DVLA was planning this whole digital transport fee or levy?
Well, rather unfortunately, we were not consulted. As it were, we would want to say perhaps it was an escape or something, but something which they admitted to, that going forward, they will make sure that they involve all of us as stakeholders in regarding issues like this in our industry. Yeah.
And now, of course, the directive is that they are suspending the collection itself, but that does not take away the fact that in the future, you may have, one way or the other, the digital transport fee or levy come up again. What's your proposal in terms of how DVLA and the Ministry of Transport should be approaching this very levy?
That's a big one. And
do you want it totally scrapped, or what would do you want it to reform in terms of the
reform? As it were, they have good intentions, okay, for implementing such a levy, but then without proper consultations and collaboration, we may not achieve that goal. So for us, we hope that after the collaboration that we ought to have as all parties involved, the drivers, if we do not go out there, as in go and work, they will not, be able to generate that income or that money or that levy. So we are looking forward to that once we are engaged in this collaboration thing, we should get a positive result. And it shouldn't be scrapped. Right. Because, as it were, I said there are good plans in there for the security, safety, and other benefits for the drivers. and it's going to go a long way to help us. So we think we support the idea. But
okay, so for the idea, in terms of what the levy will be used for, you support the idea, except that the amount is what you're challenging? No,
our point is that whatever the amount or the figure is, we should be consulted. We should be, involved in policing it, in monitoring it, so that within a certain space of time, we should be able to know that, yes, it has yielded something of which government can use that in supporting our industry. So we do not have issue with, let's say, the amount itself. The issue has been with the app operators. When they issue some amounts like that, we feel that it's a whole hefty or heavy thing burden on us. The commission is already there. They are taking a percentage of commission. After that, they are taking this booking fee. Then we are slapped also with this digital transport fee. So as it were becoming a problem, we couldn't, hold it. So once that it has been put on hold, it's to allow integration, proper integration, you understand, from various parties and then the system itself. Then we'll be good to go.
What experiences do you have as this ride-hailing app users that you would want incorporated into this digital transport levy?
Come again with that.
In terms of your service that you render, of course, you were talking about the fact that the plan for the levy and what it will be used for will cater for some of your needs, including security, as you're talking about. Yes. Which one of them is paramount to you in terms of the consideration of this levy?
Well, the security aspect, it's one of the features on the app.
Yeah.
So that you press a panic button, you should get quick response in case of a rider being attacked or a driver being attacked. Because of the nature of our job, people work into the night just for service. They want to work, but we shouldn't suffer the consequences of these things. It has been informed. I mean, the government or DVLA has been reliably informed that this is a security threat to us, and therefore they have decided to work on that.
And in fact, personally, I've hosted some of your colleagues who've raised concerns about how you're attacked at night, and the security agencies are not able to come through to help you. Is it the case that there's still a surge in the attack, or perhaps it's come down now? What's been the developments after the initial concerns you raised about security and where we are now, prompting the need for this digital transport levy? Would you say that the attacks have gone up or down?
The attacks, they are not zero out, or they are not gone entirely. For some time now, we haven't had any recent development attack. As it were, it's in flashpoint areas. So we avoid going to such places like Teshinongwa, okay, towards the beach side. But we hear little spots of these things happening in other areas. All right, but we want it entirely to be secured, so that when you are working, you know that you are safe. Okay, at the panic button, it should be rapid. It shouldn't be slow. It goes to the control room, blah, 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 then they will now route it to the nearby police station for them to come. Or it's not that, effective and good.
The application itself that will be used now, have your members apprised themselves with the application? I mean, looking at, for instance, the test run and what it involves. Have you seen it as a leadership, or have your members tried, and tested, this whole system? What has happened in terms of the usage of the application itself?
What you are seeing now is the levy that has been added to the the service charge. As in, at the end of the trip, that's what you see. But actually, for us to run it, we are saying that the government or DVLA intends to fully integrate by the second week of May. And we are saying that by that, so that's why we are pushing that they put hold or they suspend the levy until the full integration. Once it is fully integrated, then testing would have been done. So then we know how the impact is once we go there. So that's about it.
And there's this leg about the clients you serve and what the likely impacts will be. If this commission is collected, is that likely to affect how much you're raking? And would you also be considering or doing an offtake, probably discussing with Uber, Bolt, and Yango to consider moving the price up for consumers?
You know, we the online drivers,
Yes.
at one point in time, we become consumers. Because when your vehicle is broken down, you have to, you know, so one way or the other, it affects all of us. So we wouldn't say that they should, increase the fare so that we can rake in. No, that's not our concept. Our concept is for the comfort of all, users and then the drivers, you understand, everybody. So we're looking forward that they would implement this thing in due course so that we can also respond to the needs of our, patrons.
Okay, what happens from now? Are you moving towards the DVLA or perhaps targeting the Transport Ministry just to engage them on some of the concerns you have? What are we to expect next?
Let's first and foremost compliment the DVLA.
Okay.
It shows that they are a listening government or a listening authority for that matter. And so they've put hold on the service fee or the charges. So going forward, all that we are saying is that, yes, until the due date is up for full integration, that is where we all have a stake in it, and then we make sure that everybody is comfortable with it. So DVLA has put hold on the charges, okay, and we are good to go for now. So it's a breather for us that everybody and then the users all are comfortable for now, so that we can embrace it in full time when it's unfolded.
Okay, then. You have the message for those who are watching us and perhaps those who use your services. What would that be?
They should continue using the service, just that the app operators usually should also have us in mind when they have to put up all these things, that we are stakeholders. If we do not go and work out there, they cannot also, generate anything for themselves and then for anything. Users should keep on using, subscribing to these things, because the Ghana Online Drivers Union, which is GODU, they made a move for government to also pay heed to, or DVLA as authority pay heed to. So they should keep counting on the union that they are reliable enough, and then they can put everything that needs to be put, for their comfort.
Okay, but you're set to engage DVLA and the Transport Ministry on your concerns.
Yes.
Have you written to them already?
We have issued. We haven't written to them, but we have issued. What do you call it? A communique out there, an official letter indicating this is general to the media.
Right.
Yeah, but we are yet to take those steps as well.
Will you be doing that?
Yes, we will. Yes, sure.
Indeed. And once you do that, we'll be expecting you back in studio to have a discussion on that. Thank you for your time, and thanks for joining us here on The Pulse. So that's the position of the Ghana Online Drivers Union. But we're also taking you up north because there are some security concerns in Boku, where the government is announcing that it is beefing up boots on the ground. Let's get more on this because obviously what we do know is that government is adding over 1,000 more soldiers. Albert Sori is joining us via Zoom now to give us further details on this. Albert, bring us up to speed with this new operation that government is undertaking in the area.
Some immigration officials who were shot in the latest incident in Boko. One of them lost his life, and 2 others were injured, and they were receiving treatment. It brought about tensions again in the area after relative peace had returned to Boko for some time. It's also been reported that in the last 1 week or so, there have been some undercurrents and tensions brewing again among the factions. And so this is what is necessitating the decision by the Regional Security Council and by government to send more men to beef up the security in the Boko municipality. So this is what we know at the moment. But let me also indicate that we've had reports of gunshots again in the last 2 days or so, when even yesterday a man was shot in the Binduri district, which is also close to Boko. And so the situation seems to be returning back to the days when the tensions, were high, and that is the situation at the moment in Boko. But on the troops,
Yes, just land on that.
on whether the yes, on whether the new security personnel have reported to town. I've been checking all morning. What we know is that at the moment, it doesn't look like they have arrived yet. I've checked with several sources in the Boku municipality, and what we know is that the current situation, security situation in terms of security personnel on the ground, is what has been there over time. It doesn't appear that there have been more men coming into the town, because the number we've been told is that government is looking at sending as many as 1,000 security personnel. And if that were to be the case, this would be obvious on the ground. But our checks so far indicate that it doesn't appear that there's as many men on the ground.
Yeah.
What is there is what has always been there.
Let's focus on residents and how they're feeling now in the community.
For many of the residents, they are wondering when this resurgence of violence would eventually go away, because it looks like at any point in time, violence can erupt, shootings can occur at any time. These immigration officials who were shot were reportedly in a vehicle, and they were going into the main Boko township to buy food, from what we are told in the statement that was released by the immigration service itself. And so it is unclear why the vehicle was shot at, but many think that in the presence of what had been happening in terms of the recent tensions that were brewing, their vehicle may have been mistaken to be that of someone else's. And so that is why they were fired at. So for many people, they are wondering who is safe when government is actually going to nip this in the bud, and for people to be arrested, the perpetrators of these shootings. When are we going to see arrests? And for the residents to feel that government has actually taken action and people have been punished. But nonetheless, people still go about their normal everyday activity. But I must say that they do that with bated breath, because they don't know at what time shootings can erupt.
I see. And of course, government, the Regional Security Council, we've not heard any statement formally communicating what the next procedure will be. Have we heard from the regional minister, for instance, on this matter?
Yes, the regional minister spoke to us on the AM show yesterday morning. And one of the things he has said is that they are actually taking measures, but he wouldn't give so much away because these are security measures. And so he did not think that for security reasons, he should be giving out much information.
Yes, but precisely what I'm asking about the next steps. That's what everybody is on the lookout for, because after that interaction, we didn't get a clear sense of what the next step will be. So are we getting a sense from the minister now?
There hasn't been any communication yet. What they have told us is that they are still investigating the matter. And in fact, in most instances, when it comes to violence in Boko, the security agencies keep it very tight in terms of how much information they give out. So I'm not surprised this is happening. They always try to manage how much they give the media and how much they tell people. And so at the moment, they haven't communicated officially or even publicly in terms of what they are doing next. Now, what we know is that they are saying they will send more security personnel to the ground, but which is not also visible at the moment.
I see. Thanks, Albert, for joining us. So it's now confirmed that indeed government will be sending more boots on the ground, but it's not evident as we speak. Dr. Adam Bona is a security analyst, joins us via Zoom now. Thank you, sir, for your time. The decision itself, is it appropriate in your view?
Well, yes, good afternoon, Blessed. Well, whether it's appropriate or not, I think that Boko, the issues in Boko are not going to leave us, in the shortest possible time. In the medium term, it looks like that, and in the long term, it looks like that until such a time that we begin to adopt a multifaceted approach, a more concrete way of dealing with Boko. I think anytime you see more boots on the ground, it's usually temporary. And I have advocated severally that you don't need to dwell solely on, the military, the police, and the rest when you are dealing with a very complex, sensitive issue like we currently have in Boko, without going on the ground and attempting to use other, established methods of dealing with such, sensitive situations or sensitive issues. And so as far as I'm concerned, how long can we keep the military on the ground? How long can we keep the police on the ground? How long can we keep, special forces on the ground? But I am also privy that, the directive is not really to send special forces on the ground, but, it is to beef up, to get, augment the number of officers, not probably up to the 1,000, what I picked up, in fact, just today.
Okay, so which numbers are you picking up, by the way?
I think it's going to be less than 500. I don't think it is up to the 1,000. But
yeah, but even with 500, yeah. Even with 500, that will definitely scale up boots on the ground. How about the impact on the community itself?
What about? Can you repeat?
Yes, the impact, for instance, on the community itself, the way, the feeling of the people. Already, this is a very tense area. We're adding more boots on the ground. That will definitely worsen the security situation and a feeling of even residents.
Let's say.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what. Do the people have any feeling at all? I don't think they feel for themselves, unfortunately. Because if they feel for themselves, it's a needless conflict. It's a needless war. And so, sorry to say that, do they have any sense of feeling? I'm not attempting to disrespect the feuding parties. But my point is that why this protracted war in Boko? Boko, once upon a time, a thriving commercial town. Boko was, more businesslike than any other community especially in the Upper East. Probably in the Upper East, and you can actually even mention probably even the Upper West and several other communities. Today, it has become a pale shadow of itself. And so as far as I'm concerned, we need to be very, upfront. We need to let them know that they need to put their guns down. When you hear the gun, the firepower coming from them, some of the indigents, you ask yourself whether does our military even have that amount of gunpowder or firepower? When you hear, sporadic shooting, you can hear what looks like not the average AK-47 and M16. So you hear proper, something like, ground-to-air missiles. And you are asking yourself, who is actually fueling this conflict in Boko? The warlords are there. They are known. And so for me, the boots on the ground, if they don't want the boots on the ground, then stop fighting, stop killing yourself unnecessarily. That is the only way. Because it doesn't matter what any of us do. If two people are fighting and you go in there and try to settle the matter, and the two people, avoid or, refuse to come to the round table, refuse to dialogue, then you have a situation. Every now and then, you have some bandits among the two feuding parties coming up with what I call, audios, unnecessary, high tension audios, and spewing a lot of garbage and calling for, people driving into town, into Baku, to be ambushed and killed. Before these immigration officers were shot at, and one dying, unfortunately, there were several audios out there with known faces actually urging their side of the divide, that we won't allow anybody in. We are going to start, shooting at vehicles that are coming in. And voila, within, less than a week after those audios came out, and a Fulani man was shot an hour before the immigration officers were targeted. And so my point is that let's not begin to say the people's feeling when they don't feel for the children, the women, children and women and the aged. This Fulani man who was shot is an elderly man. Elderly Kusasis have been killed. Elderly Mamposes have been killed. Women, children have been killed in this needless war in Baku. At the moment, Baku is become a no-go area. We cannot live in a country where, a section of the country is a no-go area for any of us. And so for me, listen, I would say that to answer you, they don't have any feeling for themselves. If they did, I don't think that for what? Why would you be killing one another? Why would you be killing one another? Even if Baku was packed with gold and diamonds and oil, why would you be killing one another because of? Look at how many people have died in the last 1 year. So for me, I don't want us to actually even look at how those killing themselves feel. Let's look at how we can get them to stop, excuse me to say, the nonsense that is going on in Baku.
And the experts, such as you, are worried also about the spillover and the infiltration from, for instance, some of the extremist groups in neighboring countries. How do we deal? Yeah, how do we deal with that? Side by side, this main conflict, which is within the territories of Ghana itself.
Well, it's a difficult situation, and you heard that disgusting question the CNN reporter asked our president when the vice president of the U.S. came in, telling us that Al Qaeda that Al Qaeda is already in Ghana. It would have to take situations like Baku for such a silly question to be asked our president, because if not for Baku, I don't think that a silly question such as Al Qaeda is already here, as if the CNN people have planted Al Qaeda here and they are asking our president to confirm whether our president knows. But it is because of Baku. Because as we speak, it's a place that is difficult for anyone to contemplate in our wildest imagination, that a section of Ghana becomes a complete no-go area for the rest of us. So you have silly questions such as Al Qaeda is here, and probably we didn't even deal with it the way we should have dealt with it. I'm sure if I had said Al Qaeda is here, and I didn't say Al Qaeda might be here, probably national security would have invited me to come and answer. And so mine is that, yes, we are told, we are told that there's some movement of terror activities that could spill over into this country, because you know that just after Baku is Burkina Faso. 80% of Burkina Faso, 80%, I am not saying, the ECOWAS and various organizations, they themselves have confirmed that 80% of, Burkina Faso is in the hands of rebels. And I think I heard either some leader from France telling us they are coming to help us fight terrorism. I would say that is not what we are talking about, but anyone who is listening to me should tell the Paris people or the French people, that we don't need their help. They shouldn't come in inviting, the terror activities in the Sahel into Ghana. And so when I heard them, I thought that, okay, so are you coming and indirectly inviting them to come that you are here because you haven't solved the areas that are still under you, Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, and the rest are still under you in Paris, and you are coming here to come and help us fight terrorism? No, we don't need you to do that. If you have anything to do, go there and go and help them. But to zoom in and bring back the conversation into Boko, yes, because then you have, what do you call it, the issues to do with terror activities in Burkina Faso, driving innocent people, and sometimes probably bad people could join them into our territory, which is a difficulty because then now a lot of the people in Boko are running away to Boga and other neighboring towns in the Upper East and the northern part of this country. My point is that, so who is going to be there to even be able to give us intel that some terrorists or some people have now come to our community and they should be arrested? Yes, so that issue of what do you call that, terror activities spilling over into our country and, the ripple effects, if you want to talk about it, is something that we cannot actually quantify. And you know that even apart from terror activities, spilling over from the Sahel into our country through Boko probably is something that we should be looking at. It's important, but the spillover. Recently, you had people were injured. People were brutalized in Ashaman and some communities because you have, our brothers and sisters in Boko, the Kusasis and the Mamprosis, they find are spilled over into areas that they were domiciled in this country, apart from Boko. And so mine is that, it's gone as far as Pusiga, Wale Wale, you can name them.
Right.
And so mine is that if the terror activities around the Sahel could come in. But the fact that they themselves are importing the conflict into areas that are not supposed to be part of this conflict is something that we should be worried about, if you ask me.
All right. Dr. Bonan, we would have to leave it here, but thank you for your contribution this afternoon. He is a security analyst, and of course we have some pictures of the immigration service visiting some of the victims. You can check that out on all of our social media platforms. But for now, let's turn our attention to politics because the National Democratic Congress has concluded its vetting nationwide in most of the constituencies across the country. In the Ashanti region alone, over 80 candidates are vying for 36 slots of the parliamentary seats for the National Democratic Congress in that part of the country. The Asawase constituency appears to be one of the areas to be on the lookout for. The former minority chief whip Muntaka Mubarak is facing a stiff competition. Nana Yaojima has more from the region.
There was heavy police deployment in the party office as supporters of the two aspirants thronged the vetting center to support their favorites. Both incumbent MP Muntaka Mubarak and his contender Masawood Mubarak sailed through the process. Muntaka Mubarak is confident of retaining the seat.
Well, obviously, how many people get people to support them the way they have been supported? You don't get people to continue supporting you after 2 decades of being a member of parliament. For you to get people to continue supporting you for 2 decades, it means there's something you are doing right. And for me, I only thank Allah for all what He has done for me. And by this support, I know by the grace of God, Allah is not done with me.
But Masawood Mubarak says he will represent the people of Asawase after the 2024 parliamentary election.
What we mean by change is we mean progress for the people of Asawase. Over the 18-year period of the incumbent MP, we haven't had much. in terms of human development or progress. So inshallah, when they say change, they mean progress for the people of the constituency. When they say change, they mean an Asawasi MP who would be corruption-free.
The 3-day vetting process saw 71 male and 14 females participating, with no candidate being disqualified. 6 constituencies will have unopposed candidates, including the Kumawu constituency seat, which is now vacant following demise of the sitting member of parliament. Kwesi Amankwa will contest the Kumawu by-election. Samuel Abwaje will run in the Obuasi East constituency. Joseph Azuma for Akrofum, Samuel Prempe Jr. for Bekwai, Hamza Swala for Menshan North, and Shamuddin Mohammed Kamel for Old Tafo. Kwesi Amankwa is hopeful his party will capture the Kumawu seat from the NPP.
We were prepared a year ago because we have taken that seat very seriously. We need to take that seat back for NDC. So we've been prepared a year ago, and now we are ready for the battle. Even if we have to go to vote tomorrow, we are ready. And we are 100% sure that we are going to win the seat for NDC.
In the Edra Sechedumase constituency, 4 persons, including the former constituency chairman, are contesting the incumbent MP.
I think it's no news to us as women have been marginalized from the political sphere for years now. And I think that as a people or as a society, it's about time that we create equal opportunities for the both sexes.
2018, I was elected the constituency chairman. I was maintained last year. But looking at the situation on the ground as of now, if I don't come, the constituency may sink.
The Edra MP, Mohammed Bawa Brahma, is confident of winning the contest.
The former chairman is not a new person to me. I beat him in 2015. He came for primaries. I beat him soundly. So for him, I can't say why I'm hearing that. So for him, I'm not surprised. And I know very well that he's somebody who's ambitious. I knew very well that he was somebody who wants to go forward.
The NDC is expected to hold presidential parliamentary primaries on May 13th. For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
And very soon we'll be getting more from our reporters. But let's take you to the Wa East constituency. There's a lot also happening there. There's more in this report.
The 2 leading candidates of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, in the Wa East parliamentary primary, Dr. Godfred Sedi Jesau and Dr. Ishak Munawaru, came into the venue of the veteran, sandwiched by a sea of supporters reminiscent of a boxer on his way to the ring. The venue is a familiar territory for both aspirants who are past students of Wa Secondary School in the early 90s, but their minds are different. They cross swords and haggle each other over who has better record and relations with the people.
We've seen them all. Clearly, I've listened to their messages. I don't think we are enthused. The people are not enthused about their messages at all. I mean, we've seen them all around. They have records to show. Their records show it. And my records show it as well. I mean, it's clear that my records far surpass them. My posture, the steps I've taken so far are clear. They are evident. You yourself have covered a lot of the stories that are inuring and contributing to what I should be doing as an MP. And I think you yourselves are satisfied. And you won't want any of those contenders coming anywhere near the MP-ship for Wa East at this stage. I think the timing is wrong for them.
He's doing very well. His senior is coming to do very, very well. You know, when you hear that the seat is safer, it is not an English expression. It is that I can do all the things you see him do better. And I relate better with the people. It makes the constituency safer. That is what it is.
Dr. Godfred Sedi Jesau said he has represented qualitatively the constituency considered to be one of the poorest in the country and has brought to the front burner the myriad of challenges the people are facing to be attended to.
I have been able to initiate a number of development programs and activities in the areas of health, in the areas of education, etc. Enough to warrant the quest for a second term. And so this vetting is an occasion for us to justify inclusion. My view is that the story is out there, the jury is out there. You've seen the number of delegates that have followed me to this place, and that's a telling. I mean, I got over 500 people following me here, and most of them are largely delegates. We have a voter population of 1,080. We usually have a voter turnout of about 73%. So clearly, you are expecting about 800 delegates. So if over 500 of them are already following a candidate, that speaks volumes. So I'm humbly requesting for this opportunity to be able to stand on the ticket of the NDC, ask the people to vote again for us, to be able to go and continue what we've started already.
Dr. Isagu prefers to bring the issue of agriculture, education, and youth employment as his priorities if given the nod.
Go into development economics, you realize that when you even give women and youth small opportunities, they are able to stand on their own, and they build on that and also further educate others. And I think that the way to change or to improve the condition of our people is actually to educate our people, use our agricultural opportunities to ensure that we empower the youth and the women and the people of Wa East.
The third person in the parliamentary primary in the Wa East constituency is Prince Razak Tachi, who is making an attempt to come back to mainstream politics of the party after delegates in the regional executive elections voted him out as the party's regional treasurer. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam. Wah!
And from Wa, our last stop will be the Northeast region, where some 22 aspirants were vetted.
All 22 aspirants filed their nominations to contest the party primaries in the 6 constituencies in the region. All 22 aspirants are men without any female representation. In the Wale constituency, 3 people have filed to challenge the former parliamentary candidate Abdallah Abubakar. 5 persons filed to contest in the Yagaba Kubori constituency. In the Bumpurgu constituency, 3 persons have joined the race against the current member of parliament, Abednego Bandim. 3 persons, including the immediate former parliamentary candidate Bipoba Nabu, filed for the party's contest in the Yunyu constituency. The Cherponi constituency recorded 4 aspirants, whilst 1 person filed to challenge the current MP in the Nalergu Gambaga constituency, Alhaji Baba Isifu Seidu. On Tuesday, the 4th of April, all the aspirants were vetted by the committee led by Alhaji Hudu Yahya at the party's office in the regional capital, Nalergu. The vetting process, which started in the morning, ended around 10 p.m. Ibrahim Tia is the party's regional secretary and a member of the vetting committee.
To contest the parliamentary primaries in the Northeast region, 22 filed successfully, and we vetted 22 today, and we have approved all the 22. It's just a few that we have asked them to send us some better particulars for us to just add up. And we are giving some of them up to by the close of Thursday.
According to the regional secretary, the party will apply sanctions against any aspirant who will go independent after losing at the primaries. He further added that the aspirant had been admonished to engage in clean and decent campaigns ahead of the election.
So we've advised all the aspirants, and they've all signed undertaking that if should they win, they will still remain and campaign for the party. And if should they lose, they will still remain and campaign for the party. We've already discussed and nobody has agreed to go on independent.
The NDC in the Northeast region currently has 2 sitting MPs after winning the Bumpurgu and Nalergu constituency and losing the Cherponi, Yunyu and Yagaba Kubori constituencies to the NPP at the last general elections. Perhaps the most difficult constituency for the NDC to win in the region remains the Wale constituency due to, among other things, the influence of the Vice President, Alhaji Mahamudu Baumia. A former Northern Regional Minister, Mr. Abdallah Abubakar, has been the party's candidate in the constituency. This time, he's facing 3 challenges. Speaking to JoyNews after his successful vetting, Mr. Abubakar said he was confident about winning the election.
I have no doubt whatsoever that I am going to emerge victorious at the end of the day. I bet you may want to follow the process. The 3 other contestants will not be able to garner 30% of the total votes.
Regarding his new strategy to win the election in the constituency in the face of the huge influence of the vice president, Mr. Abuba answered that he had learned a lot of lessons from the previous contest.
2016, I lost the seat by a margin of 2,580 votes when he was a running mate. But this time now, as a sitting vice president, we lost. We reduced the deficit and we lost by 1,675 votes. So it tells you that we are learning from what is happening, and we are very hopeful that nothing will stop us from winning the election.
He also addressed the issue of divisions among the party members in the constituency.
So for me, the idea of Wale and then people are not happy, there's division in the party and all those things. I'm really worried that sometimes the conversation seems to be treating it as if it is a peculiar matter in Walwale. So we are not going to fix our mind on just 1 or 2 people who might want to rock the boat. We'll try to get them in. If we fail, we proceed to work with other people.
However, one of the aspirants described as his closest contender, Saibu Hamisu, on his part disagrees with the assertion that the vice president has been the main reason why the NDC is unable to win the parliamentary elections in the Wale constituency. He said he was the only one to win back the seat for the NDC.
We are not going to undermine the presence of the vice president. That is going to be detrimental into going into the 2024 elections. We will always consider the vice president. That is if he even gets the nod to lead the MPP. Unfortunately for me, I'm somebody who has a seed in every part of the constituency. My family is so huge that there's nobody. There's nowhere that you go into the Walwale constituency that you will not hear my family, and that is the factor that we are going to. Even if the vice president becomes a presidential candidate, and even the parliamentary candidate, we are going to defeat him in that.
Ilyas Sutanko reporting from Nalirgu for JoyNews.
Well, so let's stay up north. Rafiq Salam and Ilyas Sutanko all joining us for some updates on what's happening up north. Rafiq Salam, let me start off with you. You've been monitoring the situation, for instance, in the Wa West area. How competitive is this internal contest getting? Rafiq, you'd have to unmute so we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes.
Are you getting me?
Loud and clear now, Rafiq.
Okay. The whole of the Upper West region, we've gotten 30 persons that have filed their names to contest for their primaries in the region here. And so talking about the Wa West constituency, we have 3 personalities in the person of the incumbent, Superintendent retired Peter Lanchine Tubu, and then he will be contested, he will be challenged by 2 personalities talking about Farouk Bandana, who contested the first time in 2012 and also in 2015, but later in 2016 went as an independent candidate. But after that, he went into a hiatus. He only came back this year to contest the NDC primaries. And so there's also another Nicholas Guam, who also is a development expert, who's also contestant in that particular constituency. But when you come to the West Central constituency, that's where you have the largest in terms of the number of people who are aspiring to be the parliamentary candidate of the NDC. We talk about the incumbent Dr. Rashid Hassan Pelpo, who actually is the man to beat in these elections. And we also have Alhaji Huru Mokhtar, who is a pharmacist. Alhaji Huru Mokhtar, the first time that he challenged Dr. Rashid Hassan Pelpo was in 2004, when both of them were political rookies. And then he again contested him in 2012, but also had this parliamentary ambition also going into a hiatus. And so we have 2 others. Lawyer Abubakar Mutu Rahman, considered to be the grassroots man, is also contesting in this election. And then also we have lawyer Wahid Bampuri, who is contesting for a 3rd time to be parliamentary candidate of the NDC in the West Central constituency.
But Rafiq,
so the other interestingly has to do with Lamuse, where you have the former General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Titus Bayu. He's coming up against the former Member of Parliament, Eric Kaiwala, who has been a 2-term parliamentarian, but he lost the seat to John Baligi in the last election. So this time on, he's coming up against the former General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Titus Bayu. It's going to be an interesting contest because a lot of people are seeing that though that Dr. Titus Bayu is new in the race, but they think it's going to give Eric Kaiwola a good run for his money. So you move to other constituencies, talking about Laura. You have two personalities talking about Samson Asibi, who is a former parliamentarian. The last time he was in parliament was somewhere around 2012. And then also in 2016, he was not able to win the primaries, and then he ceded that particular position to Bill Angota Zuma Zedem, but he went on independent candidate, as independent candidate, and so enabling the APP to win that particular seat in 2016. So in this time round, Asibi Samson is back to the fold of the NDC and is going to challenge Bill Angota Zuma Zedem, who is now the incumbent member of parliament for that particular area. You move to a place like the Sisala East constituencies, where we have in the Sisala constituency two personalities in the Sisala West, talking about Mahama Soparu, also contesting against one accountant called One Ibrahim. And then also you go to Sisala East, you can have somebody like Mohamed Issa Batalia contested against Mohamed Haji and host of other people in that particular constituency. So last but not the least, let's talk about the Dafiema Bure Issa constituency, where we have former deputy minister, Upper West Region, and also former DC for Nadoli Keleu, Abu Kabiembata Kansangabata. He is pitting his trump against Dr. Sebastian Dare. Dr. Sebastian Sandare is the candidate now. He's the incumbent candidate. He's the incumbent member of parliament for the NDC in that particular constituency. It's going to be two horses race, and it's going to be interested in that particular constituency.
Indeed.
So that's what I have to do. But let me not forget.
I was just about asking if there were any disqualifications so far in the region.
So far, we haven't gotten any disqualification. 30 are filed, and all the 30 were approved. But let's not forget. Let's talk about the Dulu constituency, where we are having Anton Suma, who is the incumbent member of parliament. You know, he took over from the Right Honorable Speaker Albanson Manakis Borbabin, and then he is going to contest against the senior lecturer at Simon Diedon Dombo University, Dr. Tadius. And so these are what is in the Upper West region, and then we are expecting a good fight come May 13th.
Indeed, quite a tough contest coming up. Rafiq Salam, we'll see you again for more updates. Anas Sabit is also joining us with more. Anas, what's happening in your region?
The Bono East region, is one of the, NDC's strongholds in terms of, numbers in parliament. Out of the 11 seats here, the NDC is already having 8, with the NPP having 3. Now, in considering this particular primary that is, ahead of us, we have 37 persons, as applying or filing to contest for the 11 seats in the region.
Right.
Out of the 7, we have 35 being men, and then 2 of them being women. One is the incumbent in Techiman North, a loyalist by Fosu Ajari, and then Kintampo South is also having Felicia, who was in parliament between 2016 and then 2020 elections. Now we have Kintampo North with the highest number of candidates, 6 of them, and together with True West, who are also having 6 candidates. Then Kansas South is the only constituency with an unopposed candidate. Apart from that, we have the Chiman South. Remember the Chiman South elections where some persons lost their lives. The candidate Christopher Beira is competing with 2 others in the presence of Dr. Awal Mohammed and also Akwasi Yabua. So it's going to be a keen contest in the Chiman South. But in a nutshell, the NDC is aspiring or is trying to ensure that they win all the 11 seats in the region. The Chiman South, which is currently with the NPP, the Prue West, which is currently with the NPP, and then the Kintampo South, which is currently with the NPP, they are aiming at winning all these seats to ensure that they have 11 out of the seats or total number of seats we have in the region.
Okay, Anas, thank you for that brief update. from the Bono areas. Let's get to the Ashanti regional capital. As one says, where we are on the lookout for. It appears we don't have Nana Yaojima, but we'll definitely reconnect with him to get the very latest on that contest. But the Volta region is known to be, say, the World Bank of the NDC. At least that's from the position of the NDC itself. But within the heart of the Volta region, its capital, Ho Central, we're on the lookout for that contest as well, with a number of individuals jostling to take over from the incumbent who's no longer returning. I'm talking about Benjamin Bodo. There's one man who's seeking to replace him, Stanley Nelvis Glatte, is joining us in studio now for a brief conversation. Yeah. It's good to see you. Welcome to the Pulse. It's been a while.
Yes.
Okay, so in the last primaries that your party organized, you came second in that race.
Yes, I came second.
Some would have expected that, well, you won't show up again.
Sure. Sure. I think you asked the right question. I wouldn't show up again. But you see, there's a condition. I even told the incumbent that if he's going, I won't contest him again. There's a mathematics behind it.
Okay.
When we are more than 3 contesting him, he will sail through. So why not I work for the party, let's win power, wrestle power from this MEP government, and then he won't be there forever. After another term, you can come in with full strength.
Okay, so you told Honorable Benjamin Bodo that if you're running again for office, I wouldn't run because I came second.
Exactly.
Right. But now he's out of the way.
He's out of the way.
Have you confirmed that, well, he's beyond coming back and showing up on the ballot paper?
There's one thing I respect about him, okay? I was with him last year, and when he took the decision not to go again this year, early this year, he called me to the house and told me that he won't go. So I knew that he will not go. In fact, 2 months to even picking of nomination forms. But he said that when we are picking forms, then he will announce to the whole world that he won't go. And of course, it was such remarkable, decision that he took. And he even made it clear that, yes, the time has come for the youngsters to also taste leadership at that level. And of course, having been taken through the mill, Blessed, if I say the mill, you know better.
Right.
Because you know where we came from. So having gone through the mill from the grassroots as a branch chairman, went through to become an assembly member for 2 terms, became secretary for whole central constituency for 3 consecutive terms. Then contested the primaries. We were 6 in 2019 and I came second. Of course, there were other election dynamics that went
against you.
Yes, that went into that election, and of course some work against me. Major factor to consider was finance, right? But all the same, second position is not a bad position, though. Yeah. So now that the incumbent is no more in the race, I think that the time has come for us to zoom in now and also bring to the fore what we can offer in terms of leadership. I believe that.
Yeah, but in terms of your track record in serving the party,
sure,
that's not in doubt. It's not in question at all. You served as the party's constituency secretary for 3 consecutive terms.
Yes. I resigned to contest.
Yeah, now you are resigning to contest. The point is you enjoyed the support at that level. So why take up the role as MP instead of serving the party and making the party
Yes, of course, you cannot be stagnant at one place. Okay, someone must also come and experience leadership at that level as a secretary. Somebody must also come. I cannot always be there. Today, I said Nketi as our general secretary. He's now the national chairman. It has opened doors for someone else to also come and become the secretary, so that we can have a blend of leadership to know whether we are improving upon leadership in a particular office or otherwise. If there is no change, we cannot tell the difference. There cannot be any basis for comparison, of course. And if there is no basis for comparison, you may not be able to tell whether you are performing well or not. So, of course, I've done that. Yeah. And I've gotten the commendation that, look, you've done your best. And I think that we think that you've served us well. Of course, you can serve us better in this portfolio.
But I'm asking the question because this is a party that is in opposition as we speak. Sure. Your party is seeking to win the 2024 elections. Yes. One of your aspiring flag bearers says we need experience, not experiments, which means that you need experienced hands to manage the party, to bring it into victory in 2024. By contesting the MP slot, you agree your energy will be divided instead of serving the party?
I don't think so.
As you used to.
As we speak now, I'm not a secretary.
Yeah.
You understand? I'm not a secretary.
But you would have been doing a lot more.
And of course, our flag bearer wanted experience, not experiment. How do you get the experience? The experience is here with you. The experience is Stanley. Okay, having served at the branch, at the Tain level, at the student front, in fact, at the point in time, whilst in opposition in 2008, I was the original Tain president. We worked hard to bring the student front to support the NDC the best way they can. We won. All these are experiences, okay? Having been an assembly member, I connected with the grassroots, the community, okay? And of course, today, when you go to Bosontwe, and of course, you know Bosontwe very well. When you go to Bosontwe, they will tell you that they've never had an assembly member like Stanley, because I was always with them. I was always on the ground. So I have first-hand information. These are the experiences that the flag bearer is talking about, President Mahama is talking about. Of course, then at the party level, as the chief administrative officer of the party, I know how this whole thing works. And of course, I know every corner of my constituency. There are people in this race who must be taught or must be taken around by tour guide to tell them that this place is called this. And of course, in whole Central, we are so big. We have over 2,200 delegates. Okay,
you're dealing with 2,000 delegates.
Over 2,000.
Yeah, over 2,000.
Yeah, because
right.
2,212 delegates. That's what we are dealing with now. Distributed within 5 zones. What are the zones? The whole zone itself. The whole zone takes half of the number of the total number of delegates. Okay. Right. Then we have Hopeta, Novisi, Dutaso, and then Sogah zone. Right. These are the zones that make up whole. Each of them have their branches. Okay. Blessed, I can close my eyes and mention all the branches. I see. Now.
But what's happening now is that
this is the experience
that we're talking about.
Mahama is talking about. And of course, now that the incumbent is not going.
Right. You feel it's your time because you were second in the last in the last primary.
Not even that. Okay. When it comes to the Nezos, talking about the reality and the experience, that is where I come in. And of course, if I'm elected, of course, definitely by the grace of God, I'll be elected as the parliamentary candidate for Whole Central. I become an automatic member of the constituency executive committee. So it means that we can prosecute any electoral agenda that we want to do.
Okay, so you feel you're not diverting your energy by standing as an MP.
The energy is being integrated.
You're coming up against 6 other individuals.
Sure.
That's changing the whole dynamics within the whole central constituency. And mind you, this is a constituency that is considered safe for the NDC because the party has always been in power since 1992. So you've had Honorable Kofi Atto and the likes follow through till Benjamin Pudo as we speak.
Sure.
7 people going in for 1 seat. Sure. That may affect your numbers.
At my campaign launch, Honorable retired Captain John Fojo, the former MP, was there. He launched the campaign. What did he say? He said, they can even be 100. The experience and the commitment to the grassroots that I have demonstrated through the tutelage I got under him will make me sail through. That is the spirit of mentorship. So if the MP can speak this of you, then it tells you that, look, I am on top. I'm not perturbed about the numbers. Of course, the remaining 6 things that I am the one they are contesting. Of course, when we filed, and in all their interviews, they were making references to Stanley. That is how come the GNA guy who did the report made the headline, Stanley Glatte, 6 others file. Okay? So the others are 6.
So you feel it's between you and the others?
Yeah, so it's between me and them. I know that. I know that. And of course, the experience will speak. And that experience is what we're talking about. The experience that can garner us the vote. Blessed, my target is 90,000 votes in Whole Central.
You're targeting 90,000 votes?
Yes.
For as an MP, in terms of your electoral
parliamentary
candidates. Okay, for the
and of course
for the whole
mind
central.
You, after Ketusav, Whole Central wields the largest number. After Ketusav, we wields the highest number, and we need these numbers to convincingly beat the MPP once.
Okay, can I ask you a question? The 90,000 you're targeting, is that going just to Stanley or to the presidential slot as well?
To the NDC.
90,000 votes.
Yes,
you don't want the NPP to have anything.
No. In fact, I told them during my campaign, I think when I filed, yes, I told the MPP that they must watch out because my focus is to ensure that even the vote they've been getting in Whole Central must be reduced to just the families of the appointees. Well, of course, they will also have a vote. The MC has a family, they will have a vote.
That's strange.
The other appointees they put in there will also have a vote. So yes, their vote should be reduced.
Is that realistic?
It is realistic. It is realistic. When you promise the electorate a sustainable leadership that they can trust, and of course you deliver it, then you are good to go.
Okay, there's a big divide in your party now. So you're promising 90,000 votes for the NDC at the presidential level. Who are you promising that to? There's the JM divide, there's Dr. Dufour, there's, of course, a number of candidates who are coming up to take the presidential slot of your party. Stanley, are you aligned to any of these individuals?
Of course I'm aligned. In fact, there is only one divide in NDC. Okay, the rest will come and test the waters. I'm a John Mahama person, and I tell you that is what we are rooting for.
Are you not doing convenience politics now?
It's not
that. I mean,
it's not convenience.
He's controlling.
It's not convenience politics.
Okay,
let's say it's not convenience politics. The truth must be told. The greatest nightmare of the MPP is John Dramani Mahama. We all know. And NDC's best bet is John Dramani Mahama. We all know. I know you know, and we all know that.
Well, I don't know why you're bringing me into the NDC.
Well, I'm not bringing, but I'm just saying that. I'm just confirming the reality that I know that you know. That I also know.
Well, okay, that's your opinion. That's your
opinion. Our brightest bet now is John Dramani Mahama. And
Dr. Dufour may win. You never know.
Oh, he won't win.
Okay.
He will not win.
Okay, let's keep that.
He will not win. Of course. There is no race. I'm telling you, there's no race. So the 90,000 vote must go to John Dramani Mahama.
Right.
Okay? That one is non-negotiable, of course. And of beyond 2028, we can talk about other people coming in.
Now, what's your plan for the constituency if you're giving the opportunity to serve as the Member of Parliament? What will be your priorities? Is this something you're promising, first of all, the delegates and the constituents?
Yes, the delegate, the time has come for them to be rewarded. They work for the MP, right? Whatever is there, they must be part of it. They must. And by extension, the larger community. Because I have 9 executives at a polling station. Let's just speak Morley Estate as a polling station. 9 executives. They are people working for me. So they are more or less my ambassadors in the Morley Estate. Take care of them, and they will, by extension, take care of the community for you. I hope you understand. Create opportunities for them. So my areas cut across agriculture, health, job placement, and of course, I also think about infrastructure development. That one is something that I will advocate for. It's not my mandate, but I will advocate. So if we needed something in Ho, I have to shout. I have to lobby. And of course, with the chiefs behind me, I will get those.
Okay. But you had all of these. You had the opportunity back in 2016, 2014 to make a difference as the NDC. The belief is that your World Bank is being depleted gradually, and that the people of the Volta region are not seeing the NDC they wish. Like the way they used to see it in the past.
Development is a process. The whole you used to know is not the whole today. Of course, those times when we were in power, I always say that even the regional minister's own road was constructed by the NDC. The road that connects his clinic was constructed by the NDC because we knew the relevance of that clinic to the community. So we built that, we constructed that road. That one we stand. Even the only supermarket we have in Ho, okay, that's why they don't paint that store. They don't paint it. But when we came,
it appears you're here to attack the region.
No, I'm not. But when we came, you are doing some. We are going back again to look at
the track record.
So we transform the regional capital.
You promised the university.
That Starlet 91 road, and of course, when you come to Ho, the asphalt you see in town was made by the NDC. Of course, today we have a whole University of Health and Allied Sciences. Built by which government? NDC. It was a promise by the NDC government to the good people of the Volta region, and for that matter, the people of Ho.
But now the NPP is claiming.
What are they claiming?
Of course, they are doing a lot by expanding. Yes, the dual carriage project, for instance,
they couldn't do it. The campus roads. The VC talk about it.
But that project is going on. You agree?
No. You see, the only time you see the contractor on site is when Nanado is coming to the school. Okay, then he comes. When he's gone, that ends the work. As we speak, that road is still there. And of course, that road is a major road. That links Sogah to Etui. There's supposed to be an interchange there. Through UHAS,
that project is going
through Morley Estate is not going.
But the dual carriage is going on.
I'm talking about, look at the road. The road connects Sogah to Etui Junction through UHAS, through Mirage. Okay?
It's not being
through Holding University, through allied areas to Titrinu. So that the cars that are traveling from Aflau to Accra will no longer pass through town. But that work has stalled. In fact, the only one they are completing now is the one we started. That is the dual carriage from Sogah de Bogame to somewhere, Goel. Okay? That is the one they are on now. Apart from that, the rest have been abandoned. So I tell you that.
Really, Stan?
Yes, yes.
Well, we can fact check this. We can go on the grounds and see what's happening.
Oh yes, you can. You are a groundsman, so you can. I'm speaking reality. The difference between NDC and NP is that NDC knows the relevance of the truth, and we always say it.
Okay.
Okay.
Now,
as it is.
If you become MP, how? And we need to wrap up very soon. But if you become MP, how do you intend to address this situation? Because you have 3 or more universities within Ho itself.
Yeah.
The Ho Technical University. That's
where you are. As a lecturer.
Yeah, as a lecturer, definitely. There's the University of Health and Allied Sciences and some more.
Then we have the nursing training.
Yes, precisely.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you intend to leverage on all of this? Side by side the issue
You know that these
of
universities or these institutions provide opportunities for the people. In these universities, you will find cleaners, you will find laborers, right? So, of course, the local content policy must work. Local content.
That's the plan you have?
Yes, that's the plan I have.
To retain people?
Exactly. That's the local content. If you have employing over 2,000 staff, that is huge, right? So the local content principle must work here. And of course, I'll blend it with my intellectual background as a lecturer. I know what I'm talking about. Then we'll be able to sort out the middle class, the middle age group, and the teeming youth. That notwithstanding, our aged will not be left out. Of course, I spoke about a health fund. Blessed, after this show, I would like to show you something. There is a case at Ho Teaching Hospital where the small girl has been treated. First phase of the operation, no money to pay, 10,000. So the hospital detained her. He now brings out her fecal waste through the stomach into a tube. She's there, surviving when he braids hair for people. Who will support her? As well, there is a health fund for the constituency. We'll be able to do that. And how do we get money? You talk to the business guys in town, and they are there they are willing to support. Okay, that follow toes there. They are there. But you see, someone to bring these resources together and assure them that it will be put to judicious use is our problem. And
so you are the man we need to trust.
Yes. So
but you're a politician, and you, the politicians, when you say or promise, there's always a question mark.
No, you see, you don't. I understand.
Okay.
It's only one man in the village that has gray hair, and then the whole village is known as a village of gray hairs, right? I believe that we have politicians who are doing well, and you can attest to the fact that there are politicians doing well. Of course, the only way you can assume such position is to become a politician, and that's what we are doing. But there is a social contract theory between us and the people we intend to serve. You advocate, you lobby for them, right? And then you enter into the social capital development. Okay. And one area, Blessed, we can look at is skills acquisition. So I also have the policy that Stanley be elected as the MP for Ho Central.
We need to go.
Artisans will be trained. The masons, the mechanics. These are people that we can find jobs for. Because once they acquire the skills, the devil will no longer find work for them. So I believe strongly in that. Blessed, the time is now right for us, the youth, to tell the world that, of course, we are capable of managing some of these affairs when given the power. Of course, others have done it. President Rawlings was after 3 years when he assumed the reins of power. And today we are still missing him. We need not be at the age of 70 before thinking of entering into politics. The greatest strategy we find ourselves in as a country, as Ghana, is because when people are tired and used, that is when they come into power. And that is where our problem is. So as young as we are, we enter and we have the older ones, the experienced ones who will guide us, shape us, so that the end of it all will be the better version of ourselves in leadership.
All right, we're wrapping up. Just before we go, is the MP supporting you, and what will be your final message to constituents in Ho who are watching us now?
Sure, I have the blessing. I have the blessing of Honorable Benjamin Komlak Podo. I have the blessing of the former MC. I have the blessing of the former MP. Of course, they've been a wonderful father to me, and I can assure you that we are moving in. There is no stone will be left unturned. Of course, he cannot openly come and say I'm supporting Stanley, but I can tell you that I have his blessing. And I just want to appeal to my delegate. I've been with you in the trenches. We've done a lot together. And of course, I've experienced at least, Blessed, 5 elections in Ho Central constituency. I know the knob I need to turn to ensure that our electoral fortunes get to the target we have set for ourselves. It is possible together. And of course, 2024 is not a child's play. I always say, Blessed, that the child can play with the mother's breast, but not with the father's testicles. The time has come for us not to play with 2024 elections, because Ghanaians are looking up to the NDC. Ghanaians are watching us. When I park my car there, the poster was on it. The people who got inspired alone tells me that we have work to do. And of course, 2024, blessed, is communal labor, and Stanley will be at the forefront. And we will not disappoint our good people of Whole Central.
And we hope to see you again, Stanley Nelvis Letter, contesting as one of the hopefuls for the NDC slot for the Whole Central constituency in the Volta Regional Capital. We take you now to Ashanti region because the Konfanache Teaching Hospital, the plastics and surgeons reconstructive surgery unit there could be suffering soon an issue of congestion. Let's get more from Dr. Emil Tano from the Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery Department, who is joining us shortly to explain what's happening. But you see more in this report.
More than 80% of childhood burn injuries occur in and around the home. Children below the ages of 5 are identified as the majority group. They endure excruciating pains from inflamed skin burns caused by hot liquids like water, soup, and porridge. Research indicates most burn injuries are recorded in rural Ghana and frequently occurred in households with unsafe cooking arrangements. The accidents may be preventable with improved understanding of modifiable household risk factors and targeted initiatives. However, little is known about these risks, as most households lack protective mechanisms, while caregivers like pregnant mothers tend to neglect their older children. Dr. Emil Tano is a consultant at the Plastic and Reconstructive Department of CARTH.
When the people are many, it's very difficult to handle the kids. And most of the time, what I have come to realize in my personal experience, a woman, most of the time when they are pregnant, they tend to neglect those before the pregnancy. That is one. And two, we don't have protective mechanism at home. Like if I'm cooking and the child is there, maybe I have to put this barrier there so that the child cannot go to the fire.
Applying gentian violet, toothpaste, smearing of chewed cola, and sometimes cow dung on inflamed wounds are some traditional remedies employed in some households. Dr. Tano reveals such treatment exacerbates the condition and advises parents to simply wash the wounds with tap water.
Normally, if you have the one caused by fire, the flame burn, you are not first aid, you pour water for 10 to 15 minutes.
Cold water?
Yeah. Not the one from the fridge. Okay. That way to worsen it.
Okay.
So the one from the tap.
Tap water, okay.
But normally, if you do that and then you put a cloth on it, clean one, and you bring them to the hospital because it's very painful. If it is really for admission, we'll admit and maybe dress and then you go.
Inexperienced medical doctors are being advised to enhance their skills and to follow right referral procedures as they have been identified to contribute to the growing statistics. Dr. Gilbert Obain is senior resident consultant.
If the patient has more than 10, that's why these criteria are there. It's been put there so that people do not mismanage patients. So if it's more than 10% of the surface area, for a child, you are supposed to refer. If it's an adult, it's more than 15%, you are supposed to refer that patient. So yes, it happens that sometimes some of our colleagues do not refer patients that they need to. Sometimes they underestimate the extent of that burn injury.
Yeah.
If someone is spending 6 months in the hospital, it means that that child has lost school time. That child is not going to be with his or her friends. That child is going to lag behind. 2, the child having been seen and well enough to go home will lose confidence.
People at high risk of burns include pediatrics below 5 years, aged persons above 65 years, people living with disabilities, and persons with comorbidities. Meanwhile, parents can sue medical officers for mistreatment and mismanagement of burn or scald cases. Emmanuel Bright Kweku, JoyNews, Kumasi.
Well, let's now hear from Dr. Emil Tano from the Plastic and Reconstructive Surgery Unit at the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital. Thank you, Doc, for your time. So how do we completely resolve the challenges we're seeing from your units there? Kindly unmute for us so we're able to hear the points you're making, sir.
Thank you and good afternoon to you and to your various listeners. And good afternoon also to my
CEO, Professor Dr. Adai and Mensah, and also to my head of unit, Dr. Hoyt William, and to my other colleagues and the nurses who are tirelessly working at the Plastic and Reconstructive Burn Unit of Fanoki Teaching Hospital. Yeah, it's true. The phenomenon is there, and it's very worrying. As I said yesterday on the Lab FM news, for the past 3 months, the statistics we are getting are very worrying. And they are not only from Kumasi alone. You know, Komfanoki is a reference center that take care of people within the Ashanti region, the northern belt, and then the northern region, and also beyond the boundaries of Ghana, and also as well as the central region as well. So that means that those patients that we see are not within Kumasi alone. They are from catchment area where they refer the patients to our place. And mind you, cases that are referred to us, we have criteria for referring burns patients. Let me take it one by one. For instance, if the burns is more than 10% for superficial partial thickness in kids, and more than 20% superficial partial thickness in adult, and irrespective of the anatomical site, you will agree with me that burns from the face, you know, the eyes can be affected, the ears can be affected, the mouth can be, the sequelae are enormous. And also burns affecting the hands. If you don't treat them appropriately, we also have problems with like contractures, flexion contractures, extension contractures, and the multiperineum, even though it represents 1% of the total body surface area as far as burns distribution is concerned, if you don't attend to it, stenosis of the urethra, anus, the child not being able to move, and so on and so forth. We have others, electrical burns that can cause respiratory arrest, cardiac arrest, and so on and so forth. So to mention a few, we have others that if you don't have the competence to manage the child, you have to refer the child to us. Over the past 3 months, what we notice is that there's a trend where kids come and they have scarred injury. Scarred injury are burns injury that are as a result of hot liquid. I mean hot liquid, it could be hot soup, hot water, hot porridge, hot oil, anything that is hot. And what was really alarming, we lost one of them, and that day I was so sad. The child went to the fire, she fell in the fire, and the whole hot water fell on her. Even though we brought in the pediatric intensive care unit of the Konfano Teaching Hospital to help her manage the child died. And if you look at it, all along, all those things the child are suffering from, they are preventable. Why am I saying that? Let's take a mere example. A mother wants to bath the child. Why do you need to heat the water to boil and put it down, go and fetch another water and come and put by the side for you to mix it? A simple test, when the water is a little bit lukewarm, you can put your finger inside. Oh, this is okay to bath. So you bath the child every day. You know that doing that, it can be done. You leave it there, receive a call, you go away and you leave the child. And the child also know that mommy pour water on me. So the child may want to pour the water. Or sometimes the child is learning how to crawl. You go and hold it and everything upside down. You know, so I think that all those things we have seen at Konfano Teaching Hospital for the past 3 months, I think that they were all preventable. Now, I think that it comes to raise the responsibility of the parents towards the children. Because if you're at home, as yesterday, the presenter was saying, David Akwete, if you are at home and more than 2 minutes you are not hearing from your child, that means there's something going on. Because naturally, God has given the children the energy to be moving about. So if you see your child, even if you wake up in the morning and your child is not moving, that means there's something wrong with the child. And a child in the house for 2 good minutes, you are not seeing the child. You know, that is also a problem. So I think that all those things are really preventable, but I think that parents have to wake up. It's not only the duty of the mother, it's not only the duty of the father. In the house, for instance, if you have older children who can take care of their junior brother, for instance, it's to assign the responsibility to them. Maybe I'm picking a call. Oh, please take care of your junior brother. I will be back soon. You understand? And you know, naturally, at home, we don't have protective things to protect the children. If I'm cooking, Sometimes some people are cooking crowd, the child is by them, or they are on their back. Even sometimes if the fire catch the mother, it can even also burn the child as well. So I think that is a wake-up call. I think that we have to all come on board, both father, mother, parents, or caregivers of these children, to be able to know to curb those phenomenon of burns in the pediatric population, because it will be something that they are going to live with it forever, because they have the scars, extensive scars on them. It become another stigma. The child may not want to go to school, or they go to school, they say, Daddy, I don't want to go back because they say that my eye is this, my body is this, my body is that. And children talk a lot. So I think that's why we came to Lab FM, your JoyNews multimedia group, to be able to help us to come out, talk about it. It exists, and see how best as a nation we can all come together to put measures to create more awareness to help our children, the under 5, who are suffering from burns. Thank you.
Okay then, and we're grateful, Dr. Tano, that you've been able to spend some time with us. Of course, the general public needs to be cautious out there. You're watching The Pulse. We'll be back after this break. And you're welcome back. Research is revealing that the abuse of mercury by small-scale miners is beginning to expose Ghanaians to a lot of danger, including liver and kidney damage. Let's speak to Professor of Chemistry at the University of Ghana, Vincent Kojo-Nati. Thank you, sir, for joining us in your inaugural address. You've been highlighting some of the major factors that are leading to this. Can you share some of them with us? And kindly unmute for us so that we're able to get the point you're making. Professor Nati, if you're with us, you would have to first of all unmute because I'm unable to hear you at this point. So just unmute so we can get the point you're making, sir.
Yeah, can you now hear me?
Loud and clear. I was asking about some of the major points you were talking about.
Yeah, that's very good. That's very good.
Right.
Yeah, as you rightly said, mercury is of great concern, or should be of great concern to us here now, because we are all aware of what is happening in our mining sector, especially with the illegal mining. And to some extent, the small-scale mining is also involved so far as mercury usage is concerned. And over time, the measures have been put in place by government, but in fact, enforcement is a very great problem. And if you get on the field, you just see that these miners dispose of mercury in whatever manner they want, into our rivers, into the soils, and you can just know the consequences of that. When it gets into our rivers, in fact, our fishes take it up, and when it gets into our soils, our plants also absorb it. And eventually, all these are things which we eat. And the final culprit is actually we, the human beings. And mercury, as I said yesterday, has a very devastating effect on the health of the individual who has the exposure. And our organs, unfortunately, are the first target, because when it gets into the body, it is the organs who suffer. And it takes some time for the manifestation to come before the symptoms are seen. And for that matter, we are not worried that, in fact, or do not know immediately the cause that it is to the symptoms that we suffer. But when you look critically, you observe that it is coming from the mercury pollution which our people are suffering. And of late, a lot of reports are coming about strange diseases being seen in our mining communities. And if you watch critically, they are all coming from the mercury, and for that matter, in fact, unwanted disposal of heavy metals in the environment. And so I think if nothing is done about this, in fact, sooner or later, we are going to be in serious trouble, because as I espoused, the effects are quite devastating. And the misfortune is it's quite silent. So people don't think and see it immediately. And unfortunately for the sector, you see the environmental destruction, which is very readily seen, being the destruction of the farmlands and the cocoa farms and all those things, we see and quickly address. But these metals, which are being disposed of into the environment, the eye cannot see them, but the body is taking them up. So my appeal strongly goes that, in fact, there is a need for us to mount on a crusade in this particular field. to be able to test for the heavy metal levels, in fact, in our soils, in our waters, and almost everywhere, so far as our human existence is concerned, in the mining communities. And the danger too is, well, those of us who may not be in the mining communities may think we are not affected, but we are affected because the metal is such that it is being carried, in fact, continuously by our rivers, even downstream. You may be far up, okay, or you may have the effect immediately or tomorrow, so soon. But people who are down south, in fact, these heavy metals are being carried down, and it may take some time for the manifestations to be seen.
Okay, and on that score, what policy recommendations are you making for us to strictly tackle that?
As I espoused, you see, what meets the eye is being addressed, but what is invisible is not being addressed, because from our research, it's been seen that, in fact, mercury pollution is quite a problem in our mining communities. But mopping up can be done, and there are technologies now readily available for remediation. So there is a need to seek that and then put in place immediately. Otherwise, if it is allowed to continue, a time will come when what was visited on Minamata in Japan some time ago, or in some other parts of South Africa, South America, and other mining communities, we may also suffer that. And that is my concern.
If there's a message to those in authority, what would that message be in terms of how we could reverse the trend?
Okay. First and foremost, as I did mention yesterday, there must be the need for a concern by the public services institute to start testing on the levels of mercury as the miners or the people living in the communities may be exposed to. Now, that has already been established in some way through our researches. But then, more extensive data is needed to back what we are claiming. And if that is done, at least it will be a very strong or stronger wake-up call for us to start doing something about the scientific way of getting rid of the heavy metals with which the environment is being polluted.
I'm grateful.
There are ways of doing that.
Anyway, we'll continue this conversation sometime later. Thank you for now, Professor of Chemistry at the University of Ghana, Vincent Kojo-Nartey. Thank you for your time. And that's all we have for you here on The Pulse. I'm Sogah. Log on to myjoyonline.com. We have updates there for you.